Hi guys and welcome to another edition of the General Jerry channel. Ladies and gentlemen, before I do the Raw preview, I was browsing around and I was checking out NoDQ's forum, and Arnriff posted a video. And it was from a guy, I'm sure you all know who it is OTRSCentral. And he said, pro wrestling sucks and everyone is to blame. And all I gotta say to OTRSCentral, thank fuck somebody finally said it. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I actually agree with this video. That's some damn good milk. Basically, I'm gonna be responding to it. And now the video was like 32 minutes long. I did watch most of it. And I want to get into some of the things he was saying and why I personally agree with him. Number one, he said that, there isn't really investment because two people are busy doing spots, they're doing kicks, people are more worried about the work rate of the wrestler than the actual entertainment value. And he basically, what he was saying was that the whole of the wrestling industry is to blame. And it wasn't just the wrestling industry, he also talked about the media as well, and I'll get to that in a second. He basically said, that people are worried about the spots, and this spot was good, and that spot was good, and he can kick great, and his flips were good. And I completely agree. I have been saying this since I started on YouTube, is that it is not just about the spots, it is the entertainment value. At the end of the day, WWE is a media outlet that needs to provide entertainment. It's World Wrestling Entertainment. This is the problem we have, is that WWE, for whatever reason, are not giving us entertainment. And it's not because of this wrestler's such a good work rate, and I can't stand that. These wrestlers have no backstory. These wrestlers have no character. The consistency of a story from beginning, middle, and end. I will say this, and I said this in previous videos before, that a wrestling storyline, like any media storyline, even Charles Dickinson and all the other fucking books back in the day, all the way back from history, the basic storyline for any great story is a beginning, a middle, and an end. And some of these wrestling companies do not have a beginning, a middle, and an end because they have something in the beginning, they cop out, and they do a cop-out storyline at the end, and they don't finish off the story. With certain storylines that I've seen, there was actually some storylines in the past, obviously not this year because it's not the best, but storylines in the past that I was actually interested in. One is the Nexus storyline, which they cut short. There were several storylines that I was invested in, and they just cut it short. There was times where I was invested in, and they said, well, fans don't want this, let's cut it out. And that's what we have. He then went on and said that, fans are asking for an average Joe. I completely agree. There is wrestlers there that literally look like they have never been in a gym before. For fuck's sake, I went through 2 heart attacks and I look like I'm in better shape than some of these wrestlers. For Christ's sake. And a matter of fact, if you look at the picture between me and Dolph Ziggler, I'm fucking taller than Dolph Ziggler. I'm more, actually, at that time, I'm more bigger than Dolph Ziggler. So that goes to show you the level, and no disrespect to Dolph Ziggler, I do like him. But if you look at the fact that some of these people, there's nobody that stands out. Let me put it this way. If you are in a competition, if you are in a wrestling competition, you need to stand out. You ain't gonna stand out when the whole of the company looks exactly the same. They all look the same. They're all 5'6" and they don't do anything. And I completely agree with that. He went into massive detail about that in majority of the video. I completely agree. But as a lot of you will know, this video is titled, Everyone is to Blame. And he went hard on the media outlets. And this is something that I was so fucking happy he said. because I am so sick and fucking tired of these companies that kiss wrestlers' asses just to get an interview. Okay? Me, for example, back in the day, I used to do it. I used to tweet the wrestlers, but then slowly but surely I realized these wrestlers don't give a fuck about me. WWE don't give a fuck about anyone. Did you know that in 2014, a couple, right, that were fans of me, right, in the other company, basically what happened was they went to a wrestling venue in Manchester last year. General GERRY signs that they made were banned. And it wasn't just the only thing. Another fan, a fan who was 18 years of age, created a General GERRY poster and was banned. So from that moment on, I realized WWE don't give a shit about us. And I'm so sick and tired of these other companies that say, well, you know, we interviewed this person and we interviewed that person, and then when you look at the video, it only has 80 views. Nobody cares. These wrestlers don't give a shit about you. They go in, they do their spots, they do their flips, and they get their paycheck. They don't give a... They only just do interviews, and there's a few wrestlers that are actually genuine, that do like the internet culture a little bit. And he actually does bash the internet culture. He does say that these wrestling outlets that will spoil things. And hell, I'll put my hands up. I'm fucking guilty of it. You know, I ain't no fucking hypocrite. I ain't no bitch-ass hypocrite that's gonna turn around and say, oh, well, you know what, I'm not to blame. Hell, I'll even say myself. You know, I have to provide it. But at the end of the day, what you have to realize is that when the wrestling industry sucks, maybe the backstage stuff is actually more entertaining than what goes on in the ring. You know, I've reported on several occasions, and I've even gone on record, and I've checked the analytics, is that any story that I do that is backstage news, that is to do with the real-life wrestlers and the real lives and the scandal, gets more views than the actual wrestling. And I completely agree. Hey, I fucking agree with the guy. At the end of the day, some of these media companies, they kiss the asses of these superstars thinking they're going to get free WrestleMania tickets. They seem to relive their dream as a fan. And that's what's up. I've slowly but surely realized that you can't suck up to these wrestlers. You can't say, I'm such a big fan of yours. It's very true. These wrestlers don't give a shit about us. That's a fact. And at the end of the day, this guy was completely accurate in his video. And people were kind of giving him shit. People were saying, well, listen, the truth fucking hurts, motherfuckers. The truth fucking hurts. It does. The truth fucking hurts. This guy was right. At the end of the day, what you have to realize is that there is no investment in professional wrestling anymore. I will go on record and say that this year is really bad for professional wrestling. There was not one consistent storyline that I generally got behind. Sting versus Seth Rollins. Crap. Brock Lesnar, Taker. Beat out. They ended the feud in a Hell in a Cell. Because I thought maybe Sting might face Taker, which is, I'm still hoping it'll happen in 2016, but it ain't gonna happen because that's not what they're gonna do. But at the same time, what he was saying is that WWE, rather than looking to the future, will go to these old-timers, and that is completely correct. WWE, for whatever reason, will run out of superstars, so what they do is they bring out the big guns, and rather than them actually developing solid storylines and with these wrestlers, no, they just bring Taker back for an easy cop-out. Let me tell you something. What happens when you don't invest in your other talent? Your wrestling product is going to suck in the long term. Gotta look at the ratings. Once again, Raw at a very low rating. And people say, oh, it's because of football or whatever. No, it's not. It's bullshit. Please stop you. And he did say that you have wrestling fans that will take your one side and they'll take another side and then they'll argue amongst each other for their own gain. Don't work. At the end of the day, both companies don't give a shit about whatever fans they have. Let's face the facts, they don't give a shit. And another thing which I was very happy that this guy said was the fact that wrestling fans, they go on the internet and they complain, right? don't buy the product. They don't buy the merchandise. They don't pay for the network. They don't even watch it on TV. They illegally live stream everything. Okay? That's what I don't like. Because at the end of the day, whenever I go on my channel, I paid for my WWE network. I have WWE t-shirts. I support the company that I'm reviewing. And that's what you have to do. But at the end of the day, some of these wrestling fans, all they do, like, they complain about every single thing. They don't kind of give it a little bit of praise. And that's just the way it is. And hey, I've been guilty of it. I complain about WWE all the time. But at the same time, again, like this video was saying, everyone is to blame. Because, ladies and gentlemen, when WWE don't invest, when WWE don't invest in their product, when they have people just doing spots and having a good wrestling match rather than invoking the entertainment aspect, let me tell you something. The two any other story, whether it's Sons of Anarchy or whatever it is that these companies have investment. These television shows have investment. People watch The Walking Dead because they're invested in it. When WWE takes out the investment, ratings drop. Yeah, you can invest all your money on these indie wrestlers, and yes, it could be a great thing. But at the same time, folks, what happens when you have an indie wrestler in a company with no storyline? He just looks like any ordinary guy. If you want some of these new indie guys or these new people to come in and get them over, you need storylines, solid storylines to get them over. Otherwise, what's the point watching it? Beginning, middle, and end. I completely agree with what this guy was saying. And I also, again, agree with some of what's going on in the dirt sheets, because yeah, and I have a YouTube channel. I do have to provide information, okay, and hey, I put my hands up later on in this video, but at the same time as well, some of these companies, right, and this is what really pisses me off, is that, and I've noticed this, I've absolutely noticed this, and I'm glad this guy pointed it out, is that you have your Dave Masters and you have your other companies, and then whenever they reveal information, these other companies take their information and make it as if it's their story. So essentially, they are copycatting people that are coming up with the storylines and the sources and the details. That's why there's only a selective few companies that I would go on, because they're the ones that may have insiders. But these other companies, they don't have the insiders. So what do? They take that information, they take it for themselves. And at times, and we've seen this in the past, and it was something that this guy didn't point out, is that these third-party these kind of third-party outlets that don't actually get the original source, they get the source, they make it into something else, they kind of twist it a little bit, make it up, and then fans expect more of the wrestling product. And guess what happens? Another company will see what that other company to copy from that other company. So then they'll take that and they'll twist it, and then they'll make another one. And the vicious cycle goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And eventually, with that source, it gets muddled up. People don't even know what the source actually was, and we come up with a random thing like, I don't know, Stone Cold Steve Austin has his shits, when the original thing was actually Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to appear in the ring for 5 minutes. This is what I'm talking about. These sources take other sources, make up their own thing. These sources take other sources and make up their own thing. That's the way the system works. And that is why everyone is to blame for professional wrestling. But let's talk about who is at the top ladder, okay? YWC, IWC, at the bottom, okay? Right? Could you argue that they're to blame? Question mark. But who really is to honestly blame for these is to blame for the professional wrestling industry? The bigwigs, the top, your Vince McMahons, your Triple H's, your Stephanie McMahons, your board of directors, your Dixie Carters, your Jeff Jarrett's. Those people that are on top of these companies are to blame as well, because they're blinded by what they see. And I completely agree with this guy's saying. So anyway, oh shit, long video. This is General Jerry on the General Jerry channel, signing out.